The head is quicker than the eye. Sometimes the truth ain't no better than a lie.
Hey guys, this is Rees with Ignite Media and Trackstar Racing. Today we want to kind of talk to you about purchasing a used bike. We see a lot of used bikes coming here that people have bought that, end up having some problems with them. They have to invest a little bit more money than they expected. What I want to talk to you about is some things to look at before you actually pay for the bike. Maybe save yourself some troubles, or maybe get you that diamond in the rough you've been looking for. This right here is a pretty typical KSL.com GSXR 750, clean, one owner, just tipped over in the driveway one night. Well, no, not really. This thing's been wrecked to hell, but some things to look for when you go look at a bike. I've had a lot of people come in with bikes that have been crashed. The previous owner told them, it just got tipped over in my driveway. Well, if you've got scratches on the engine case covers, on the fairings, on the levers, tank, anywhere, and they're not just little dents, but they're actually scratches going through the metal, it didn't go down in the driveway, okay? It went down on the road and it slid for a while. So call them on it. Check the ends of the foot pegs. If the ends of the foot pegs are scratched up, the bike's more than likely been down. And that's something you should know about when you're buying a used bike. You should, if you're going to go spend $3,000 to $8,000 on a used bike, you ought to know if the bike's really been down or not. Other important things to check that most people don't look at. Take a look at the chain. Roll the bike back and forth. See if there's any kinked links in the chain. Make sure it's rolling freely, it's not rusty. A good chain is going to run you anywhere from $120 to $150 plus the installation on it. So, that's a little bit more money than maybe you were planning on spending right off the bat. Also check the sprockets for wear or missing teeth. These are things that a lot of people don't take a look at. While you're back there, look at the tire, make sure it isn't flat spotted, there's no cord showing. Take a peek at the brake pads. Make sure there's ample brake pad left. Make sure the rotor hasn't been damaged by somebody running it without pads. As you're moving up, you want to make sure that everything moves freely, that there's a little slack in the clutch, there's no leaks, no damages. GSXRs are pretty famous for stators going out on them. If the person replaces the stator and they don't use an OEM gasket and instead they use RTV, it can cause damage inside of the starter gear because it's not spaced correctly for the bushing. So always take a look around this case cover, especially on the Suzukis. Make sure there's not RTV or something sticking through. If you see RTV on any bike, ask the owner what was done to the bike and why there's RTV, because nobody's using RTV from the factory. That's a dead giveaway. The bike's been worked on, possibly by the owner himself rather than a trained mechanic. Moving to the front. You want to make sure that the cables all move freely, they're adjusted properly. Take a peek back, make sure the cables aren't frayed or damaged on the clutch side. Another important thing that a lot of people miss are fork seals. You want to check that fork leg and make sure that it's not wet or it doesn't have any drips or any signs of leaking. Fork seals run anywhere from $200 to $300 to replace. So that's one of those big things you want to check out. If they're dry when you get there and you look at it, take the bike, give it a couple of good strong bounces, and then look again, because if the owner has wiped the leaking oil off of there, you're not going to see it, but if you bounce it, it'll leave an oil ring around the leg. Check the front brakes just like you did the back. Make sure that there's ample pad left in the brakes. That's not a huge deal to replace, but again, it's money that maybe you weren't planning on spending right away. Electrical. On the GSXRs, it's not as big of an issue, but a lot of people will replace the blinkers with flush mounts. They'll replace the tail light with an integrated. If they've done that, see if you can take a look in there at the wiring. Make sure it's been done properly with solder or butt splices or shrink wrap. Make sure, you guys would die if you saw how many bikes we have come in here with house wiring, electrical nuts, and electrical tape holding wiring together. And that's just not acceptable for these bikes because they're out in the weather. You can be up, in the canyon, you get a little water in there, everything shorts out, you have to come down with no headlights. And I've done it and it's not very much fun. Brake master cylinder. Take a look at the brake fluid. Make sure it's not very dark. It should be kind of a light tan to a clear. If it's really dark, you're going to plan on having your brakes flushed because the fluid's just gone bad. Feel that lever. Make sure it's firm at the lever. You shouldn't be able to pull it all the way to the grip. If it's not, then you're going to need to have the brakes flushed on it. Another good idea is to open the fuel cap, smell the fuel, take a look inside the tank, see if there's any rust in there. If there is, that's probably something you're going to want to avoid. Check the oil, make sure the oil isn't discolored or too dark, make sure it doesn't look milky like there's a leaking head gasket. Check the oil level. If the oil hasn't been changed recently or the oil level's low or high, pretty good chance that other maintenance on the bike has been missed as well. Coolant, you can always check the coolant, make sure the coolant doesn't smell burned or chemical smell to it. Make sure it's full up and it looks fresh to you. The other thing I can recommend to you is before you buy a bike, if the owner will let you or if the owner will bring it, take the bike over to a shop, let somebody go over it for you. We usually don't charge you for it, we'll just do a quick walk around, make sure the bike's mechanically sound, and tell you if it's a good deal or not. We've had several come in here that we found some pretty major problems with and save people a lot of money by letting them know not to pick that bike up. If there's any other questions, like I said, hit your local shop, come down, talk to me. I'm more than happy to look at bikes before you buy them. Just again, make sure that the bike you're buying is mechanically sound and doesn't have any problems. Check the lights, check the blinkers, check everything that you're going to have looked at in a state inspection to get it licensed. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the bike licensed until you do some repairs. Thanks for watching. This is Kelly with TrackstarOne.com. We'll see you next time.